What's up, everybody? This is Trinity, aka your Triforce in North Georgia, and also named by Buff Bagwell and Scotty Riggs, the Kip Up King. I've worked in many places all over Georgia, including TWE Crash Course, RCW, freaking everywhere inside of North Georgia you can think. And you know what I'm doing? You better know what I'm doing. I'm drinking at Moe's.
Drinking at Moe's, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's all so mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinking at Moe's, where we don't quit. Drinking at Moe's, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, oh it's a scream.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinking at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody. Welcome, Drinking Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. You know, YouTube's algorithm, yeah, it's still a pain in the you-know-what. Apparently, one of my cats wanted to get down here. All right, anyways, we're on audio platforms too, most of the major ones anyways. Today, I'm excited to have with me, out of the great state of Georgia, Trinity. How you doing?
I'm a little hurt. Of course, everybody knows that I've been out with injury as of June for after Birthday of the Champions, giving a hard-fought victory, impressing a whole bunch of legends. But other than that, been doing good, catching up on wrestling, catching up on anime, video games, anything I could easily get my hands on.
You know, I never got too much into anime. I know a bunch of the people I served with in the Navy that were like huge into it. So whenever we got into, you know, the countries in Asia we went to on deployment, they were always looking for all the stuff. And video games, I need to start picking mine back up because I've been with family stuff and podcast stuff. I've just been too dang busy some months.
Yeah, that's how I've been feeling. I mean, I would be busy with wrestling, but every now and then when I get a weekend free, I'd be like, okay, I have like a PS5, a PS3, a PS2, I have a Switch. So I should never be bored with my video games ever.
Oh, yeah.
And especially with my PS5, like I've just been playing, like I just finished Elden Ring, which if you've been looking all over the internet, it's been really hard.
Yeah.
And anime, I've been into since high school. Of course, with everybody starting on, I started like everybody else with Dragon Ball, with Pokemon, with Naruto. And the more I got into it and the more I moved down here, and especially the more I got into wrestling in Georgia, it would be, oh, you should check out this anime. Oh, you should check out this anime. Oh, you should check out this anime. Well, since you're watching anime, you should read the manga and start like getting like more into it. And I was like, okay. And then the more I started watching it, the more I picked out like all these really good ones that were so far beyond One Piece, Naruto, and Dragon Ball. And I'm like, okay, so there's this outer world of anime that's like, you see these like a group of family that doesn't know their other lives, or you see this classroom that has to kill this very powerful octopus that has a year before it blows up the earth. And I'm like, holy crap, some of these stories are actually way better.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of those sound like they'd be quite entertaining.
Yeah, and what's made mine better. Like I've been recently watching episodes of My Hero Academia, which is like, oh, it's a superpower. It's a world full of superheroes. It's a full world where everybody is born with a superpower, and then this main character is born without one,
Hmm.
and he admires this hero so much that's like the greatest hero to ever live. Little did he know that his greatest hero ever was given a power that was given to him to make him this powerful being. And once he's given this power by his role model, he learns how to become more of a hero that he's wanted to be after being told at an age early on that you couldn't be a hero, you have no power. And now his all role model is giving him a chance to be this hero. And then the more he goes with it, the more he learns, crap, superheroes have this big old purpose, have to become with a sacrifice and everything. And it's finishing up right now, but holy crap, I read the manga before it even happened, and I was like, this shit's gonna get intense.
It sure sounds like it. Holy moly. Yeah, like I said, I I can respect anything that has a big fan base. Like anime has a fan base all over the world, and hell, just like wrestling, there's people that might not be as into it as others. But hey, if somebody is passionate about something, I can respect. They enjoy something like wrestling. Fans enjoy wrestling. There's people that enjoy anime. There's different video games, like we kind of mentioned. The new thing I'm kind of getting into, the Magic the Gathering stuff. There's people that like and not so much. All of it.
Oh yeah, and with every fan base, I have somewhat of a little respect of because it's always has somewhat of an impact in someone's life. Like wrestling,
Yeah,
you can be a WWE fan, you can be a TNA fan, you could be a New Japan fan, you could be a Ring of Honor, AEW fan. It's just like every other fan base. Like with video games, oh, I'm more of an Elden Ring player. Okay, I'm more of a go to PlayStation and play Spider-Man fan. I'm more of a go to Nintendo and play Mario and Pokemon. And with anime, oh, I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. Goku's the greatest of all time. No, I'm a big Naruto fan. Naruto's the greatest of all time. Luffy's the greatest fan. I'm a One Piece fan. I I am a big My Hero Academia fan. All Might's the greatest of all time. Like every person has an opinion with wrestling, anime, video games, but each all have the same common goal. They love what they love. With anime,
exactly.
it's the same thing with wrestling. You might not like some things, you might not like this or this, but you know that you respect it and you love it for what it is.
Definitely, and that's why I don't get too much into with the tribalism of a lot of like the national TV product in wrestling. I don't get too much into all that because I'm like, you know what? Like what you like. If you don't like one product, good lord, just all you got to do is go to places like IWTV, Triller TV, all different streaming platforms. And if honestly, if you can't find something that you like with all those choices, you're probably just not that much of a fan to begin with.
Oh yeah, and like it made me more of appreciative and understanding of everything, and especially with the last show I did, Birthday of Champions in Marietta, Georgia. We did it at a Flashback Games, which was an arcade,
Mm.
and which made me already happy to begin with because I was like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
cool, I get to play arcade games and fucking wrestle. Like that's the life.
Oh, totally.
And then like the promoter kept promoting these people that were coming. Like there was Tito Santana, Abdul the Butcher, Coco Beware, Buff Bagwell, Scotty Riggs, like Sergeant Slaughter, Jake the Snake. So I was like, even cool. And then like going off anime, like I got to be able to sit down and like talk with the voice of Majin Buu
Mm.
from Dragon Ball, which I was like, that's even cool. So we're basically like a best of all worlds because like
Yeah.
guys that like are heavily down here and that are big down here in the state of Georgia, as I should say, all of them usually love anime and video games in some way. Like I always have some kind of conversation with somebody backstage about anime or a video game that we all like or a movie or cartoon we all like. Like that's what makes wrestling even better. It's like, oh, we're not just here to do business. We all can at least like have something in common.
Oh,
Uh
totally.
and that's and even going back to what we were talking about, like even with wrestling, like the more I was been in the business, the more I've been able to respect deathmatch wrestling. Because
Mm.
when I first started watching deathmatch wrestling, I was like, I don't really know much about this, and I didn't really know what to really like about it. And then I met my manager Steve Dave, who used to manage me, and he sometimes does ring crew for ICW.
Mm.
And he told me one time, come down and we'll hang out after an ICW show. So I went to an ICW show once, and it was around the time that I started doing some stuff with TWE. And I came down and like I got to see people like MM3.
Mm.
I got to see Tank, Matt Tremont. I got to see John Wayne Murdoch, who I've actually been able to share a locker room with, surprisingly
Nice.
enough, which was really cool to see him again. Uh, and then I even got to see a little bit of a Taipei death match at the Birthday of Champion show with Shadow WX and Madman Pondo, who I've actually shared a locker room with Madman Pondo too, which made it even better.
Right. Hey, and I've actually had both John Wayne Murdoch and Madman Pondo on.
Yeah, which made it even funnier because like my story with Madman Pondo, like I got to sit down as a beginner, like this was the beginning of my career. I got to sit down and
Yeah.
talk to Madman Pondo about stuff, and which was really cool. And then I even got to have a better story with him at the Birthday of Champion show. As literally, I got to sit there and hear stories from him and Abdullah the Butcher before his Taipei death match. And I
Mm.
even, like, when I shook his hand, I told him, I was like, we've shared a locker room before. And he was like, really? Where? I said, back in 2019 when I started. And he was like, where? I was like, up in Indiana at XCW. And he was like, who runs that show? I told him who was running the show. And he was like, oh, shit, don't make me feel old. I was like, damn, that makes it even. And then what made it made me look at him like, damn, you made me not want to make you feel old. And then I started hearing stories of him and Abdullah the Butcher touring all over Japan and everything. And I'm like, this is some cool shit, but damn, you want me to not make you feel old, but yet you telling me those stories with you and Abdullah.
Yeah. You'd think after telling some of those stories and thinking back on how long ago some of those probably were, they'd be like, oh, god damn, I'm making myself feel old here.
Which made me feel young in some way because I got to hear stories of like Abdullah and Madman tour in Japan and like going to eat dinner and then waking up or not waking up, going home at like 3, 4 in the morning and like fans from Japan recognize them in the middle of the street and having to selling shirts and taking pictures with fans at like 3 o'clock, 4 in the morning, all because they knew who Abdullah was. Like a fan literally noticed him out in the street and just went, Abdullah, Abdullah. And people started coming out. And Abdullah literally just looks at Madman and just goes, get my shirts, get them ready. And literally started selling shirts.
I got a few stories from Japan out of him when I had Madman Pondo on. It was a good time. Same thing with John Wayne Murdoch. Loads of stories, and it was fun because I'm such an uber fan of the both of them. And John Wayne Murdoch, it took me a little while to get him on because, the guy's a damn machine with the schedule he keeps. He is like everywhere. So I was definitely thankful to get him on when I did. And, through guys like him, Madman Pondo, and, oh God, Alex Colon, a bunch of the guys, you brought up Matt Tremont, a bunch of the guys from his promotion up in New Jersey, H2O. I've literally lost count of how many people I've had on from there. Like it started off with one, and then I just started getting more, and then this person and that person, and it's been fun. H2O has been very good to me, and I've even gotten some stories out of watching the product on IWTV with my wife inadvertently comes in during some of the death matches, and whew, yeah, one time somebody had just gotten whipped into a bunch of carpet strips, and the look on her face was just like, she's like, is that necessary? I'm like, yeah, kind of.
And that's how I felt when I watched my first ever death match kind of show. I watched Extreme Rules matches and or ECW and everything, and I was like, okay, that's pretty hardcore and everything. Then the first ever show I watched, I was like, okay, I'll buy, because it was Nick Gage versus Matt Cardona for the GCW World Title. And then they
Yeah.
got to the Ultra Violent Championship. And literally the first thing that I saw that made me go, holy fuck, was a dude literally, I think, got his tongue stapled to a door, and then they stomped it and he pulled up. And I was like, and for me, I have a long tongue. And so and I've had my finger accidentally stapled by accident, and I know how that hurts. So for a tongue to be stapled onto a door,
Yeah.
uh, 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 uh,
I've been like
uh,
I've been to a no ring deathmatch show once, and let's just say I was glad I wore closed toed shoes, because literally the metal connector end of a light tube flew off and hit me in the foot.
oh shit, oh shit.
I don't know. I like for a while I actually kept that part of the light tube. Like I swear I have it around here somewhere. I just can't find it.
Yeah, when I went to ICW No Holds Barred to see my buddy doing ring crew and see, it was Tank versus Matt Tremont for the main event.
Mm.
And of course, I got to see Tank do a seminar about a week before that, and of course, I've had talks with Jay Newman around that time, and I just wanted to go see the show and of course hang out with my buddy.
Oh yeah.
And I was pretty far back. I was in standing room. I was just standing instead of sitting, and I was in the back for the first half. And then for when they went to intermission, I was like, "Fuck it, I'll stand on the wall next to the ring and everything, just so I can get a closer look and just have a little bit more fun."
Totally.
Then light tubes started going flying, and all I could feel was just me taking cover, because all I could see was just glass coming flying my way. I didn't know if I should protect the woman behind me, if I should protect myself, if I should protect, because the ring announcer was also standing behind me, standing near me. So I was like, shit, should I protect him?
Oh man. Yeah, I've got loads of stories involving light tubes, including one guy got hit with one, face all bloodied up. I'm back in my seat front row, and all of a sudden he gets hit, gets sent spinning, and before I know it, blood on me all over my face, my shirt, and on my phone. It's like, holy shit.
What made me laugh and even respect deathmatch even more was I've had a couple hardcore matches every now. I've had a few hardcore moments every now and then. I've had a kendo stick whipped across my back that left a mark that was, holy shit. I've been triple powerbomb into thumbtacks the first night I turned heel. First time I ever had that happen. I've had a little bit of like I call it a redneck hardcore match when I first started. Literally had like like a little plug-in fan, had like little board games and everything to attack with, garden tool, bats and everything. And like I got suplexed onto the plug-in fan that had a tire iron on it. That shit hurt like a motherfucker. But then the worst pain happened in a hardcore cage match when I got sprayed in the eyes with this cologne that didn't smell great. And the dude's a pretty hardcore deathmatch fan, so he grabbed fucking bamboo skewers.
No,
pulled out my
I
hair.
was seeing the pictures. I was just seeing the pictures of that.
Yeah, and after like he banged him in, and it hurt so bad. I was like, fuck, like Jesus fucking Christ. And the more they went in, and I just put my hand in, and I was just like, fuck it, let's just make this better. Put him in a little bit more as he started stabbing, and quite a few fell out. But I need to send a picture, but sadly I'm in Facebook jail for
Ooh.
until tomorrow. Uh, Literally picture is just all of them poking out as I'm holding onto the cage, screaming in pain. Everybody thinks I'm selling it. No, that shit fucking hurt. That
Oh,
shit hurt like a motherfucker.
oh, I can
I
imagine.
about near told him I think I'd rather have had the gusset plate. Uh, and then I had a friend take pictures of everything, and literally all I could feel, I didn't even take the picture until after, and I didn't even see the pictures until after the match. But all I could feel was just blood running down my face, running into my ear, running down my facial hair. I could feel a little bit of it dripping onto my chest, and I was just sitting there with my shirt on and my sweatpants on. I'm literally sitting there, and I was just like, I must be bleeding like a motherfucker right now. And then I get all the pictures and I'm like, holy shit. Because when I went back to the locker room afterwards, I was the blood was starting to dry up and everything. It was only dripping a little bit, so I didn't get to see the full aftermath of what it was. Then I got the pictures of everything. Part of me was like, yeah, that's where the pain was coming from. And then the other half of me was just like, look at me looking like a
I
badass.
know, right? There's definitely that little bit of a mix of everything. It's like I can only imagine, looking back at the pictures and be like, yeah, that hurt like a bitch. But then you 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 look and you're like you're almost thinking back to like, oh, what WrestleMania was it with the submission match between Stone Cold and Bret Hart, where the Stone Cold's in the sharpshooter and the blood's just
Was
dripping down his face, and he's
Oh
just
yeah.
screaming. And I'm like, that must have hurt, but damn, he looks like a badass.
That's how I felt. See, my version of that was Randy Orton versus Cactus Jack in Backlash 2004.
Mm.
My version of that, just Randy being all bloody with bar going across his face. Then he had the missed RKO spot that just, I sat there and I was like, that shit looks like it hurts so fucking bad. And I was like, I'll probably never want to do that in my career. And the more I got older and the more I wanted to be a wrestler, the more I sat there, I was like, I'm at least going to want to do it once
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
see how it feels.
yeah.
Maybe it'll be a little bit better, when I have adrenaline going through my body. Yeah, no, that shit hurt.
Oh man, yeah. But I can, you know, I know back younger, just turned 41, and talk about making somebody feel old. I'm just making myself feel old right now. But I know growing up, like I always loved watching, the hardcore stuff, ECW and all that, but never in a million years thought that I could see myself doing it. And then, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, shit, if I got the chance and the money was right, if it was like a one off, like, I'm actually making my commentary debut next month. And like, if something were set up, like they've had, wrestler commentator feuds before, and like if something were set up like that, and it were like a one off, it'd be like, fuck it, why not? Because I've definitely said, because I've actually witnessed Alex Colon needing to get thumbtacks pulled out of his back after a match before, and I'm like telling myself, well, if I were going to do something like that with a thumbtack spot, I'd want to definitely be having a shirt on, so that way literally just pulling the shirt,
Yeah.
and just yanking them out, because I'm like, I don't want that, they're, you think you got them all, and then all of a sudden you go to lean back and you're like, oh, motherfucker.
Oh yeah. My first night going heel and I did the power. I got a thumbtack spot. It wasn't even supposed to happen. I wasn't even supposed to take it, but dude chickened out, and so people grabbed me and said, "Sorry, kid, you gotta do it." So I was like, "Fuck." Uh, Everybody kept looking at me because I was in tights, and I said, "Screw it." I only had a hood, so I was like, "I'm just gonna take off the hood and fucking wrestle bare chested. Why not?" Yeah, that thumbtack spot made me want to have my shirt on, but I was through it, and they lifted me up after a little bit of me going, I don't know about this shit, because I wasn't planning on it. I was literally not planning on going through that thumbtacks at all. And then all of a sudden they threw me in, and I was like, at first I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I not rolling out of the ring trying to fight my way out of this? But I'm like, but I'm the heel. They need an ending. They need a good ending, not me trying to fucking fight the guys that are gonna literally fucking destroy me. So I sat there, and they did triple power bomb style, and they finally got my ass up there, and they threw me down, and that shit hurt when I fell. Like, the bump was fine. I bumped perfectly fine. I had elbow pads on, luckily, and I hit. Some went in my head, a lot went in my back. I had this coated on my arms. I luckily my legs were in the air, so and then I only had my feet on the ground, so I had a few of my shoe. Uh, and I'm sitting there in pain. Then the pain starts going away as I'm just laying there, and I'm like, okay, I guess now I'm just laying in a bed of nails that I'm comfortable in. And
Mm.
then the referee just comes up to me, squats down, and goes, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't know how I'm gonna get you out." I said, "Just fucking grab my hand, take some thumbtacks out, and pull me out." And thankfully, we started pulling out thumbtacks out of my hand. I started pulling some out of my arm. He finally grabbed my hand, pulled me up. I got on a knee, and I start literally, as I'm selling, I'm literally starting pulling out thumbtacks as I'm walking back. I'm like, fuck. And little did I know the peroxide would be the death of me
Oh
at the end.
God. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can imagine that was probably not fun.
Yeah, the if I had to put money in a swear jar at the end of that night, somebody would be very rich.
Oh yeah. I bet. Is hell. I've been
It,
lucky enough to get to witness a handful of death matches live, not just the no ring show. Uh, most of them have actually ended up being for Sammy Callahan's promotion, Revolver. And man, that those shows in general are like a damn party the whole freaking time. But the first one was actually Jake Chris versus Joel Bateman, and it ended with a flaming glass spot. Like they lit a pane of glass on fire.
like that.
That was nuts. And then the other, there's been about three, I'm wanting to say. Yeah, there's been about three of them. And well, each of them involve the members of the formerly known as the second. Yep. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, that was my bad.
Technical difficulty. All right, we're good. But I was about to say all the other ones that I've seen in person all involve the members of the former Second Gear crew. Ooh. And let me just say, yeah, I've actually been, and it's held true each and every time that I've seen all three of them together, whether teaming up or this last time facing off against each other, that their matches might as well be sponsored by Home Depot. I've actually got to tell them that in person.
Yeah,
and they all laughed and agreed.
See, every now and then I'll watch ICW No Holds Barred, or I'll watch a death match every now and then on YouTube just to see what I can look up and find. I mean, lately for me, it's been Anarchy in the Arena, Double or Nothing, and then it was the Sting retirement match that I got to see that had the hardcore bits, and maybe I might be able to go see Blood and Guts this Wednesday in Nashville. I'm hoping
that would be sweet.
And I mean, it sounds exciting. I'm kind of now wondering what they're gonna do now, especially with next week being in Nashville. Now they know MJF just beat Ospreay, and now they have Darby and the Acclaimed with Swerve and Briscoe. It does seem good. It's not the team that I wanted for Team AEW, but
Yeah.
I think it'll be fucking fantastic.
Oh God, Darby Allin's gonna pull out some crazy shit. And
after that glass spot, I don't not believe it. I believe there's either going to be some cage dive spot that Jericho and Sammy both took, or I see him going through it.
That, or oh God, like a reminiscent of the Undertaker Mankind Hell in a Cell. That, you know what, they haven't done it yet, so that would be interesting. But
that's what I thought would be good. But I mean, it looks like it's set to be pretty stern and everything. But yeah, that's the only thing they haven't done that I'm like, that would be incredible. And especially for Darby, that's the perfect spot.
Oh, totally. Yeah, because I mean, just look at some of the other guys, at least on Team AEW. I mean, you got, what is it, Mark Briscoe, and he's the one crazy son of a bitch. I love him to death. But then you also got Swerve, or going back to Lucha Underground days and some of the crazy shit he pulled off there, being kill shot,
or his death match with Paige on Full Gear, just fucking click, 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 click.
Yeah, absolute. That was nuts. Like the first actual death match on a national TV company show that seemed like a legit death match that you'd see on GCW or H2O or ICW No Holds Barred, any one of them. You don't really, most of the death matches you see on the national TV shows seem like just regular hardcore matches with the death match name slapped on it. But that one between Swerve and Hangman, that was something.
Oh yeah, with that match, I didn't get to watch it live on pay-per-view, but then YouTube, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna look it up and see if I can find it. And luckily, somebody literally posted it clear in HD, and I was like, perfect, we're clicking on it, watching it now before it goes away. And the more I kept watching, I was like, this shit could be on GCW, H2O, ICW. This could be in Japan and fucking roaring in a Tokyo Dome for a death match. That's what made me think if Swerve goes and wins the belt like everybody thinks he should, Hangman might need to be the man to beat him. And especially it needs to be in something hardcore like that.
So yeah, they need to go back to that for sure if they have them go up against each other.
Was Swerve just sitting there laughing and going, haha, click, click, click. I sat there, I said, oh shit. I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I'm not the person that would do that, but
putting him right into his chest and stuff. Like, I was watching that live, and I'm like, God damn.
See, no, the goddamn spot for me was watching Revolution and watching the Sting retirement match and Darby going through glass.
Totally.
Because I sat there and I was like, oh fuck, and I was like, please don't tell me that he's gone. Like, please don't tell. And then the more they kept going, okay, we're going to look at Sting. Now we're going to look at Darby. And now his back is more red. And then we're going to look back at Sting. And then Darby. Now he's definitely red. And I was like, either he's dead or he's gone for the rest of the match. Because I thought Bucks were taking him out. I thought Bucks were just beating Sting. They were just going to take out Darby and fucking just leave Sting to himself. They threw the Swerve at Darby and Sting winning, which it was still a good ending and a good match. But
yeah,
I still thought Darby should have still stayed dead, because that spot scared probably everybody in that room, in that fucking arena. It probably scared everybody in the back, and it definitely scared everybody at home.
Oh, yeah. It's funny looking back, and some of the crazy shit that Sting would be pulling off during his AEW run was just like that. Not trying to sound like I'm, discounting somebody for their age, but it's like, good grief, somebody of his age pulling off But the thing that I always look back on each and every one of those spots was he just looked like he was having so much damn fun.
And I think that's what he was hoping for the WWE run. And with Vince running it, I think that's what just Vince running that Sting run just disappointed me. Like I've always said, somebody even asked me the other day, they were like, if you could change one outcome in a WrestleMania match, what would win? The first one that came to mind was Sting should have beat Triple H. Because
Oh,
that was the
totally.
one match that I sat there. I was like, this match is so good. And then Triple H won, and I was like, this match just.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I was definitely right there with you. And you know what? I would like to think that with the way things are going now, if it were to happen, like if that run were to have happened now, much different. Because hell, I'm already seeing people that are going there from other promotions, making returns, whatever it might be. And, back when Vince was running it, I'd be like, oh, no, just they can be used better somewhere else. But now it's like, shit, if other places won't use them the way they want to be, and WWE is definitely doing a lot more improving in that aspect of, where I could be like, they might not be perfect, but shit, a lot better off than they used to be in that aspect.
Oh, yeah. And like, it's definitely been a turnaround in everything, especially knowing with my friends. Because a couple of my friends, one of my friends who's driving right down from Louisville to here, he didn't watch wrestling when we were in high school and everything. He was like, it's just not really for me and everything. I got my buddy, one of my best buddies who's in Louisville. He couldn't make it for this weekend. He got into wrestling around the time that I met him because I started being like, dude, this is something we can watch together. And then he got to experience good NXT, like Finn Balor, Nakamura, and everything. And that's what got him into it. And he's a big luchador fan and he's a big dude. So, which made it kind of funny that it's a polar opposite kind of thing. He's a big dude, but loves watching, like, his favorite of all time is Rey Mysterio, of course. And of course he loves Sin Cara. He loved Kalisto. He likes Dragon Lee. Me and him agreed ages ago that we wanted an LWL reunion when Rey came back. And around the time that trip, like we even agreed when Vince was away, when Vince went away and Triple H took over booking, WWE would be a million times better, and a whole lot of people will get back into wrestling. And boy, oh boy, were we right when we saw that. And it made it even funnier when our buddy who's on the way here now got into wrestling and even went to the WWE live show in Louisville with my best friend and watched SmackDown from the show. And I was like, this is how you know wrestling is getting good, when people that I know who didn't watch wrestling, period, are now into it. I was like, and then especially knowing that, I was like, this is definitely a new era of wrestling with Triple H booking, because Punk's back. And then Stephanie Vakir, who literally wrestled at Forbidden Door a week ago, literally now shows up to WWE. Fucking, you have the Wyatt.
Although, not to interrupt you, my only thing with her, though, is she kind of gained somewhat of a bad reputation on her way out of like CMLL and New Japan because of however it came to her signing with WWE, and how it literally the news came out of that later on in the day when what was it? The news broke that she was leaving New Japan and CMLL for personal reasons. And then literally later that day, the news broke about her going to WWE.
Oh yeah, and that's what really threw me off. I was like, wasn't she just on Forbidden Door like 2 weeks ago? And it blew my mind just to see how fast it could happen, but it still was an impactful thing, because it still makes people wonder, what is she gonna do? Because now you still have all these people going in this division, you have plans for people like Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss could return anytime soon. You
Yeah.
have TNA showing up.
No, that
Uh,
stuff. I've been loving that stuff with I
oh
guess
yeah,
it's a lot of people are calling it NXT.
but that's what makes it better because you get these new crossovers and everything, and you now wonder who's going to show up
True.
because you just had the Rascals, Noah Carter, Zachary Wentz, aka Noah Carter, who literally was just off of WWE because of allegations. Trey Miguel, who literally got released from WWE, and
Yep.
now they're back on WWE facing Gallus. Joe Hendry, probably like one of the biggest things to go to NXT. Jordan
Yep.
Grace with the Knockouts Championship. Only
Oh
reason they did
yeah.
it with Nikki was because they felt sorry for fucking throwing her clothes in a trash bag and saying, "Here's your shit."
But yeah, and the reason I've said that Jordan Grace is popping up at that Rumble was bigger than Mickie James. No offense to her, was Jordan Grace didn't have that prior WWE tie-in. Mickie James did. So it kind of was like, maybe I can see that. Jordan Grace, it's like, I remember watching that Rumble. Like, I was watching it as it was going down. All of a sudden, that siren hits, and I'm like, wait, whose WWE music has a siren? Like, not thinking that anybody from a different promotion could even come in. And then all of a sudden, I see her walk out, and I'm like, oh, damn. And they actually gave her a pretty decent showing in that Rumble.
Oh yeah, it's the Mickey one impressed me a lot because I was like, of course, I was a big fan of Mickie James. I had a crush on her when I was a kid. Fucking loved the shit out of her. Like I got to see her in 2010 at a live show, and my mom could tell you I was drooling all over for her. Fucking
Hey, can't
and
blame
I
you.
got to see her, and I was like, if Mickie James shows up in the Rumble, how is she going to come out? Because I thought we were going to hear original music, and then I heard hardcore country because I was like, that's probably the coolest gimmick for Mickie James because I loved watching TNA when I was a kid,
Oh, yeah.
and hardcore country was the dopest part of Mickie James. And then I got to hear that, and I was like, oh fucking shit.
Yeah.
But with Jordan Grace, it felt more like a shock because I was like, I heard the sirens and I was like, at first I was like, what the fuck is Scott Steiner's music playing? Like, what the fuck?
That was
I was
kind
like,
of
why am I hearing Scott Steiner's theme? And then I
why
see
is
Jordan
he
Grace come
showing
out and
up
I
in
was
the
like,
women's Rumble?
yeah, and then I see the belt and her come out with the belt and I was like, there's no fucking way. And then I was like, okay, so now they're bringing the Knockouts Championship down here. What else are they gonna do? And the biggest thing I looked at were the Rascals because I wanted to see him reunite with Wesley. I wanted to see Joe Hendry. The biggest thing I wanted to see him do was do a song with the New Day.
That would be awesome.
I thought that would be the coolest thing they could do, and especially knowing like it could be a huge 6-man tag as well, which make it even funnier because then you could do like Joe Hendry and the New Day versus Gallus, or you could do Ethan Page, Sean Spears, and whoever doing that. Like, there's so many things you could do, but the biggest thing I always looked at that I'm still holding on to a day is I want to see AJ Styles back in TNA.
That would be cool. There's a couple. Well, there's one person I would love to see come in, and then one specific match that I want to see really bad. The one person, Macklin, I want to see him go up. Somebody. Doesn't matter to me who. Give him somebody. I want to see because I've actually got to meet Macklin on a couple of occasions, and it's funny seeing the aggressive, mean side of him, but then talking to him at intermission or when the cameras aren't on, and just the absolute coolest dude. So I became an uber fan of him. But then the one match I really want to see is Moose versus Obafemi.
I thought about that one. I was like, dude, that shit's gonna. You want to talk about big meaty men slapping meat?
Yes, that would be the meat match of whatever damn show it was on.
Oh my god! See, my person that I thought more to come from TNA besides Joe Hendry was Josh Alexander.
That would be a good one.
I thought him versus Braun Breaker, him versus Gunther, him versus Chad Gable, knowing that
Oh,
Gable just got the shit with the Creed brothers doing this Team Angle thing. Like,
true.
there's so many good matches that Josh Alexander could do.
Mm. I've been able to meet Josh Alexander on a couple of occasions, but one match, when you're talking about matches that they could have with him, that ever since this guy popped up there, that I'm like, oh, damn. Josh Alexander versus the now NXT champion and former tag partner of his, Ethan Page.
There you go, Ethan Page. Yeah, I thought about that one. I was thinking about that one as I was telling you the other people. I was thinking about. I was like, ooh, Ethan Page would be a really good one, especially now knowing he's the NXT champion.
Yeah, I've been able to see them teaming together as the North at a Revolver show, actually. And then I forget who Josh Alexander faced at this one of the last Revolver shows I went to, but it was a fun time. And yeah, getting to see those two facing off against each other. And I even thought of a little storyline that they could make a storyline out of it, even. Like Ethan Page was kind of, he can say, getting overlooked or whatever. And then Josh Alexander was getting all the opportunities. But so then he had to go leave for AEW, and then they had his issues there. And then now he's in NXT and finally, having that clash together, I think would be pretty cool.
I think it would be really cool. I mean, there's so many people that TNA has that I would love to see even more. Like, I would love to see Ace Austin and Chris Bay, because I've been seeing Ace Austin do stuff since OVW. Chris Bay, I became a fan of when him and Ace Austin teamed up and started joining Bullet Club, because Bullet Club is my favorite faction of all time, outside of WWE. And for them to do that, I thought, okay, this is really cool. And then the more they became a team, the more I was like, okay, I could see how they can mix up and do really cool stuff. I would love to see them go at it. Like, I would love to see them and the Good Brothers, or see them versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier, them versus Chase U. I would
lots of possibilities.
You saying Alexander versus Ethan Page, I thought maybe Josh Alexander wins the TNA title off of Moose, and while Ethan Page is the NXT champion, comes up champion versus champion. Make that an NXT takeover match.
Ooh. That, what, I didn't even think about that. Because, yeah, that would be something. That would be a cool little highlight main event of a show.
Oh, yeah. Like, I always thought, like, they should do a best of the best. TNA versus NXT. See, a worlds collide is what I thought.
You know what? I have heard a lot of talk about that. And that, come to think of it, if they want to do, how NXT has been doing some, like, I wouldn't say huge arenas, but they've been doing some arena shows. You put that for an arena show, you're going to sell some damn tickets.
Oh, yeah. And especially if you get stuff like Oba Femi versus Moose. Like, that would be a perfect, like, semi-main event to go right next to Josh Alexander versus Ethan Page. Have Trick Williams versus Chris Bay, or have Trick Williams and somebody else go against Chris Bay and Ace Austin, or have the Rascals facing against Gallus, or having Jordan Grace defend against Jordan Grace and Roxanne Perez, champion versus champion, or have Sol Ruca or whoever you would love to face Jordan Grace. Have Naomi and WWE have that rematch.
True. Hell, bringing up Sol Ruca, that wacky looking finisher mover that she has, the Soul Snatcher or whatever it's called. Holy crap.
See, that I was wondering, I was like, that could do some really cool shit with that. And then the ladder match came around, and I was like, this better be the time that she starts doing some cool ass shit with that fucking finisher. And then she went off the ladder with it. I was like, thank you.
Oh God! Now you got Chad Gable in my head. Thank you.
Thank you. See,
Oh
that's
man.
the one thing I've always been happy for because, like, I was mad that Chad wasn't getting a WrestleMania match with Gunther. I was so pissed off about that, but I was so happy for Sammy because I've always loved Sami Zayn.
Oh yeah.
I became a fan of El Generico, and I didn't really know who it was. Then he went on WWE, and then I found out he's El Generico. And I was like, okay, I know what this shit's going. And the more I got to see him, and then I became an even bigger fan when he faced Cena because Cena's my all-time favorite
Mm.
wrestler of all. And for him to face Cena and have that big ass match and have a good ass match, even with a dislocated shoulder, I was like, this could be a guy in the future. And then the more he started doing stuff, and everybody was like, oh, he sucks. And I was like, watch, he's going to get the biggest shit ever. And then everybody started going for him for the bloodline. And everybody was just getting for him. I was like, thank God he's getting the credit he deserved. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
because with Vince around, I was like, he's not going to be able to do something big and be this big main eventer that he's going to want to be. And then Triple H took over, and I was like, oh, this motherfucker going to be everywhere.
Definitely. And I'm loving it. I'm even loving. I just today, as of this recording, released my 2 cents on the Wyatt Six, and I'm like, I remember, they were doing the QR codes again. And I'm like, oh God, what now? But then the more it got going, and the more I started thinking, well, let's see. And then what was it? Rowan had to pull out of a big fan fest show just the state across from me for a friend of mine, and it was some contract commitment, and I'm like, okay. And then the first, like, the debut, I'm like, oh damn. And I'm like, holy shit, this is like, I I'm looking forward to it, just to put a point on it, I guess.
See, the whole YS6 thing, I was like, if they're gonna do it, they're probably gonna like. I saw the QR codes and I was like, okay, so they're gonna do what they did with Bray. They're gonna do the little glitches at live shows during commercial breaks for everybody to start filming and be like, oh shit, this is gonna be happening. I thought it was gonna happen sooner, and then it didn't, and I was like, okay, so let's see how long they're gonna hold it. I thought they were gonna hold it till SummerSlam, and then they had the whole thing happen. And I'm sitting there screaming in my house, just like marking out completely because I was like,
Mm.
thank God, because I was a big fan of Bray Wyatt. I think that was probably one of the best things
Yeah,
creative wise WWE had in almost decades.
totally.
And like everybody was like, is he going to be the person to take the torch from the Undertaker? I was like, fuck yes, he will. He will,
I mean,
100%. And then he died,
yeah,
and like I was so upset with it because I was already upset Brody died. Like I was like, damn, that's the OG. That's one
yeah,
member of the OG Wyatt family. And then Bray died, and I was like, oh fuck. And
yeah,
then they said Bo was going to continue the story, and I was like, okay, so I wonder how this is going to go because I was kind of worried of how it was going to go.
yeah,
And then it finally came, and I didn't want to sit there and be like, okay, where the fuck is this going? Like, you're taking too long. I wanted to be patient with it because I was like, hopefully
yeah,
they're going to do it right.
yeah.
And
You
I
didn't
was
want it.
still
Oh, go
in
ahead.
with it after the debut. But then I saw the Rowan interview on Raw,
Yeah,
and I was like, and then I started thinking about it. And then I went on Facebook the next day, and someone said they need to do this with everybody. And then they put the reasons why everybody should be sad and reason Bo should be lifted. Dexter Loomis, his marriage being failed. Joe Gacy, the reason that Schism didn't work, why Ava ran to be
mm,
GM, 2 years old young veterans went away. Uh, Nikki Cross, why she was trying to be a big superhero for everybody and turned out to be a villain. Like I was like,
you,
oh, these
yeah,
things are gonna get so much better. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh my God. And then Braun, I was like, if Braun comes in and does one, or if Alexa comes in and does one, I was like, this is going to be
It's gonna be
intense. And then I
it's
was
gonna be
like, well,
something.
then I wonder when the debut is going to happen.
Yeah. When they're like actually gonna have a first match.
And that's what I was wondering. Like, are they going to do it like, oh, we're going to have everybody do one-on-ones, or they're going to do a big tag match, or are they going to just have Bo be the first person to go at it since he's been there? Like, it's so many options they could do, and I'm still wondering what is next. But
Yeah.
I'm as ready and excited as I've been for Bray. What I wanted for Bray to happen, I want for the White Six to be just as damn good.
Oh yeah. No, I'm definitely right there with you. And before we move on to my two categories, I do have, bringing up Bray Wyatt, kind of a little tie-in with him because I didn't realize at the time that I recorded with the former Ring of Honor six-man tag champ Dutch. I didn't realize at the time that they were like good friends until I went to post about having recorded with them, and then like the next day, all of a sudden, like I'm on my way home from work. I remember it specifically that all of a sudden I got this alert, and like Twitter didn't give like the full name, but I saw the picture. I'm like, okay, when I get to a red light, I'll check it. I checked it. I about dropped my phone because it was Bray Wyatt liking the post about that episode.
Oh, I would have went ape shit.
Oh, I did. Like if I weren't driving at the time, I would have gone even more ape shit because I was just like, holy, like yeah, it was just him liking a post involving one of his friends, but it's like any big name person, they don't have to go and do anything like that. But the fact, and then when he passed, I almost got a little emotional because it was like remembering back to that and him at the time liking my small little podcast out of nowhere, Nebraska. And it was just something I'll always hold on to. And okay. So one last thing before the categories, because it also involves him, that I actually have a plan for. I found something because, well, the news is already out to everybody that my wife and I are expecting due
Aw.
in January. It's going to be a little boy. And I had this idea because I was like, one of my big regrets in life was my wife and I were pregnant back in 22 with twin girls that, long story short, born premature, only made it a week. I regretted never getting to get them a toy. Because I'm like, little girls deserve to get a toy from their dad. Well, I was like, you know what? I am getting this kid something before they're even here. And then I saw WWE had these little plush, kind of cartoonish versions of different wrestlers on Amazon. And I found a Bray Wyatt one. And I'm like, I had this idea of either just him with the toy or me and him with the toy, and basically saying something like, welcome to the world, little Firefly, and then tagging JoJo and Bo in it.
I would. I would even have like if you could find like a lantern that like you can do like a little light or something with it,
Yeah.
and
You know
like
what? I'm gonna
welcome
have
to
to
the
keep
world,
my.
little Firefly. Play the intro music of Bray, show the baby, and then come back up, do like a little laugh. We're here.
Yeah, I can see that, or even if it were just a picture for like Instagram, like how Instagram will have, you can have music with it, have it be Bray's music. One way or another, I could do both for all I care. but yeah, no, some because as you can probably tell, I'm pretty damn excited.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty damn
and you
excited.
and you should be. And so congratulations to you because I mean it's especially knowing that they only your set lasted only a week. It's especially I know in some people that breaks their heart. I haven't gone through that, and I can't imagine the pain of that. But especially knowing like I especially would want to buy a toy for when I have my first kid. It's like whether it's a Bray Wyatt or it's a little John Cena or maybe a little AJ Styles, I would want them to have something and
So I'm
it's
gonna be getting more. I'm gonna be getting more. I've already told my wife, like, I am getting this kid. Like, they are going to have their room freaking full. Like, not just WWE stuff. Like, I'm a sucker for Disney stuff. I've got like on my Amazon shopping list, I've got like Disney toys. I've got other of those plush things for the WWE. I've lost count. I had to stop myself one day because I'm like, oh, I'm getting too big of a list right now. I need to calm down.
See, I would be that person that sits there and be looking for the toys, and all of a sudden I'd be like, damn, I'm gonna want this also for myself. Let me get two of these. Because I'll be the one grabbing anime being like, oh, here's a little Goku plush for him and a little Goku action figure or statue for me. Oh,
Yeah.
in Disney, here's a little Stitch and a little Stitch something for me. Oh, here's some
So,
wrestling stuff.
yep. Nope. I've already thought about that because, the only figures that I keep out of the box are the ones that have passed on. And I'm like, dude, I got a perfect idea for a Bray Wyatt one, especially like the Fiend, on his knees with the arms out like he would pose.
Ooh.
Having it like right here in front of all these guys. I'm like, okay, I'm getting ideas that I'm going to have to. Oh, man, I'm getting excited. All right. Well, before I get on a too big of a tangent, I did mention going on to my two categories here. First one, name game, where I name off some people and, you give me quick thoughts on each person. Doesn't have to be one word, just, some quick. And, I try to theme it towards, each guest. And a couple of these big names from the state of Georgia. And then we've talked a lot about death matches. I've also thrown in a couple death match people. So, first one, I hate using the term because it got a little overused in my opinion, but he finished his damn story, Cody Rhodes.
Cody, I grew up watching, and I always said he should be a world champion. I didn't say WWE champion, I usually said world heavyweight champion. And then, of course, with the whole Ring of Honor and New Japan stuff, I was like, after he left WWE, I was like, okay, he's going off on his own. And then the minute he came back to WWE, I said, if anybody needs to beat Roman besides Jay, it's him. And then when he did it, I was like, he's got to be the next Cena.
Yeah.
He's the next.
Yep. And hell, I want to meet him really bad because kind of the personal story going into, some of the stuff that I already shared. But there was a part of his documentary that WWE released, one of the recent ones, that it definitely spoke to me. And it was on the part where he spoke about as his dad Dusty was dying and how, like, on TV they show it and it seems to happen all quick, but real life you're in there pacing up and down the hallways practically memorizing the floor plan of whatever damn floor they're on. And I'm like, oh, that spoke to me because with the girls that I told you about, they were in the NICU for a week. Like I said, they only made it about a week. But there wasn't a damn day of that I wasn't there for a huge chunk of that day. Like, even like I had the mentality of, them, like they were coming home. Like I had I refuse to think of any other alternative. So like I went back to work for a few days. So I would literally be work, home to check on my wife and my dogs. Then I'd go straight over there. And then I'd go to sleep and do it all again the next day. And like there'd be this window that overlooked the parking lot that I'd stop at, to take a breather. And like literally every time I pull into that parking lot, my eyes just go right up to that window. And like I could probably find my way right to where their NICU rooms were if they'd even let me in there. So it's like that part where he was talking about all that. I'm like, man, I want to meet him so I can tell him about that. Although we've all seen how sometimes he can be a bit of a crier. So it'd be like, oh boy, I'd probably be getting him crying with that one. Because hell, I'd probably start crying as I'm telling it to him.
I mean, we all have our soft side and everything, and especially when we find the people that matter to us the most, or we love unconditionally. Yeah, it's gonna hurt a lot. And to be honest, that'll probably be a bonding moment that you guys would be able to share. And like, I I would want to meet him definitely with me because I was a kid watching him. Like he started coming out, Dusty introduced him, then he went to Randy, and I loved Legacy. Legacy was the coolest thing ever. I said to be honest, that was my first bloodline. I thought that should have been all the gold. Cody Rhodes should have either been mid-card champion with a tag title, DiBiase with a tag title, and Randy just dominating as the heel with the WWE title and the tag titles. I thought that would have been the coolest thing ever. And then I thought Cody would be the guy to beat Orton, and so Orton could be like, okay, I'm off, but then you're going to be the guy that can hold out on his own. And it was the one person that I never gave up on. And then like when Vince put the whole Stardust gimmick on him, I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And then the more he got into it, I was like, why did Vince do this to him? And then when he left, I said, good on you. And
Yeah.
To be honest, I would just love to look at him and say, I'm glad that you're in the spot you are in now.
Oh,
because
totally.
that man deserves it 100% for what he did. He betted on himself. He made a company. He made a bet to put 10,000 people in an arena for a card that everybody thought was not going to be good. And little did I know, the day before my birthday in 2018, I'd be sitting down watching that show, and I was like, if they don't move off of that, I don't know what they could do. And I remember watching Being the Elite when they announced AEW, and I was like, thank fucking God. I can't wait to see how this goes. And then Cody left, and I was wondering what the fuck.
Yeah. But
then he went to WWE, and I was like, cool. Yeah. This needs to be what he does.
Oh, totally. And the way I think about it with him, and there's been a few people, him, Matt Cardona's another one, that they definitely proved that you can, if you believe in yourself and you take that bet on yourself, you can. They've definitely proven that getting released or just asking to be released or leaving WWE isn't the death nail in a career like a lot of people might have thought, back in the day.
Oh yeah, and that's what I see with a whole lot of people that I would love to see. Like Cody was the biggest one I saw that was perfect. Matt Cardona was a perfect person to do that. If Adam Cole wasn't injured, I feel like he'd be in a better position than what he is.
Totally.
Hell, I think if he went to WWE, I think he'd be in an even better position. I mean, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy went and did that in the early ages of their career after leaving WWE with TNA. Made the hugest name of themselves.
Yeah.
AJ Styles like went to WWE early, WCW early, and they thought, nah, you're not with us on this. And literally went and became the biggest name for WWE and probably one of the GOATs.
No, totally. And you know what? Speaking of him, he's the next name on the list, AJ Styles.
One of my top, and technically one of my top two. Cena and
Yeah.
Styles have always been up into my top three. AJ was one of those guys I first discovered in TNA. Like everybody says, name the first person that you think of when you think TNA. AJ or Joe are the first person to come in mind. And when AJ left TNA, I was like, okay, what is he going to do? Then he went to Bullet Club, and I marked out because of the whole Bullet Club. So I was starting to watch New Japan around that time. Then he left New Japan, and I was like, okay, is he going to go back to TNA or is he going to go to WWE? And I remember being on the phone with the girl I was dating at the time, my high school sweetheart, watching the Rumble. And AJ came out, and I about near broke my phone when I popped up off my bed and was like, holy shit, because I never thought AJ was going to be in the WWE at all. But then there was the part of me that was like, oh no, Vince might screw him over. And when I saw him lose to Jericho at WrestleMania, I was like, okay, let's hope he can bounce back off this. And then the more he's been there, and when he had that long reign as WWE champion, I was like, thank God he can go out of WWE when he retires and said, I at least had somewhat of a good run. Even if you had your shitty moments, you at least went in there and showed why you were one of the best in the world.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely proven why he should have been there all along.
And
for sure.
That's why when I watched him in TNA, I always said AJ Styles is the best name outside of WWE. He is the best name to not be signed with WWE. And everybody said, do you think he will ever be signed with WWE? I said, no. He's going to be that guy that says, I don't need WWE, and it makes just as much money.
Oh, yeah. Now, I've actually got to meet him on one occasion. It was in between, leaving TNA and going to New Japan. He had a little indie run in there, and he actually made a stop here in Omaha, and that's where I got to meet him. And I have a TNA Lockdown DVD cover signed by him. So that was pretty cool. All right. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. I just said, I've never got to meet him. I'm thankful that I've got to see him live. He's one of the guys that I've always said, if I get to go to a WWE live show, I want to see him. And thankfully, I got to see him as WWE champion, which was even more of a better treat for me. But that is the one.
Oh. Pause this real quick. All right, technical difficulties as they do happen. We just finished off with AJ Styles. Now we're going to talk about a guy that it's still on my bucket list to go to a show that this man is on. And I did mention we were going to talk about a couple deathmatch people. And I think this guy, I think it's safe to say that this man is on the vast majority of people's Mount Rushmore of deathmatch wrestling. I was trying to think of a cool. Here we go. I was pulling a brain fart there. MDK all fucking day. Nick fucking Gage.
One hardcore motherfucker. I didn't know who Nick Gage really was as much besides his GCW stuff until I watched Dark Side of the Ring with the Nick Gage episode.
That was a good
I love
episode.
Dark Side of the Ring. It's one of my favorite shows to watch. And the Nick Gage one did put a lot of stuff. And through his criminal history and everything, I'm glad to see that he's pulling a recovery and doing everything that he's doing to be the person that he wants to be for the fans. He's outlived literally bleeding out through a death match in the middle of a show, literally going to jail,
dying on the way to the hospital,
about near killing David Arquette, and fucking this dude's one. I think I call this dude the new Jack.
You could definitely say that. And the thing that makes me want to see him so bad, besides, man, his matches are just crazy and I love them. But it's like as soon as that first gong in his music hits, it's like that whole venue just turns into a giant mosh pit. And I'm like, I've told a few. No, there we go again. All right, yep, no, the technical difficulties, that shit happens. Lord knows I've had a few of those moments on the show. but we were talking about Nick Gage and how the whole damn show just seems like a giant mosh pit whenever he gets in there. I'm like, I don't care if I'm front row or if I'm back against the wall. I just want to be there for that because it just looks fun.
It does look fun. It looks. That's why I like some wrestling crowds. It reminds me of concerts. It reminds me of rock festivals that I've been to because I've been to Louder in Life before, and I know how it feels to be in the pit, how it feels to be in that crowd, and the energy of it is just like a wrestling fandom, and it's like old ECW. It's like when Nick Gage comes out for Whom the Bell Tolls. It's for when Matt Tremont comes out to Separate Ways by Journey when you go to ICW. Um, it's so many songs that you can think of that people will go batshit crazy for, and I love every second of it.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So, like I said, it's legit on my bucket list to go to a show that he's on. All right. Now, last but not least, I mean, hell, we already talked a little bit about him, but the bulldozer, or hell, killdozer, whichever one you want to have him go by, Matt Tremont.
I've been able to see him live, thankfully, and I was glad to see him versus Tank live. And shout out to Matt Tremont, who was literally just announced today to be at the TWE Arena in Red Bank, Tennessee, August 2nd or 3rd. I believe you have to check. It's one of your former guests, Jameson Shook. His
Yes.
show at TWE Arena. Good for you. Has a whole bunch of people, but the main event was going to be for him versus John Wayne Murdoch. Sadly, due to circumstances, Murdoch had to cancel. But I believe Jameson Shook has an even cooler, even has a cool replacement to back up. Even if it's not Wayne Murdoch, he gets the Killdozer, and that match is going to be one hell of a match to see, and
Oh yeah,
it's going to be a test for Jameson.
Oh, for sure. And hell, Tremont is definitely on my bucket list to not only see in a match live, but to get him on this damn show. Because I'm like,
oh yeah,
I've I've talked with him about it before, but I kind of laugh about it now because I'm like, well, hell, I've interviewed about 90% of your roster. Maybe I can have you on.
I mean it. I would
So
think you would have him on, especially with guys that have been in H2O, guys who've been a part of his training and everything. I would think that you have already had Tremont on him.
It's not due to me not wanting him on. I can tell you that much. But the dude's a busy man, so I'm not. It's nothing against him at all. He's a busy man.
Oh, yeah.
He's got his own in-ring career. He's got H2O and everything that he's got to do with that. So, in due time, it will happen. I'm sure. All right. Now on to some random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. That's why they're random questions. So, first one that I love to have in here because I just get some really awesome stories out of it. Craziest in-match moment for you. And we might have talked about one of them already. The skewer spot.
Craziest in-match moment. I mean that bamboo, that skewer spot is up there. That thumbtack spot is up there. I've been in a chicken fight in the ring. I've faced so many amazing people that I can't even fathom. I've faced Dylan McQueen. I've literally had feet stomped into me by Hunter Drake. I've been able to be in the ring with guys like Chris Kronk. I've been able to have a little sparring match at Tank's seminar with Tank, which was really cool. Seminar, I got to do Jay Lethal's seminar, and I got to do some chain wrestling with Jay Lethal at Kevin Ryan's Forever Pro. I was so happy with that, especially knowing that I grew up watching Jay Lethal as the Black Machismo, and then getting to see him
Yeah.
do his Ring of Honor reign. Like when I heard that he was coming, I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm going to see Jay Lethal." There's so many moments I could say. An in-ring moment that I had, it's not even during a match, it was during introductions. Last year I got to wrestle on my actual birthday, my 25th birthday, in a four-way elimination match for the world title. The 2 weeks ago I had a match for the title one-on-one. Then I got a chance on my birthday for the fatal four-way, and the guy who came out and saved me the couple weeks before came out and he did his promo and his intro saying he's West. Oh my God, Blaze! And then I had a roaring crowd chanting "Happy Birthday" for me. And to be honest,
That
I froze, and all I could do was just smile, and just it made me feel so grateful of the sport I'm
yeah.
in.
Oh, that is something special right there for sure. I know I even if I was a heel at the time, having people know that it was your birthday and doing something like that for you, that's
Like
awesome.
I've celebrated times for my birthday. Like I've not been able to wrestle on my actual birthday, and that's
Yeah,
what it would made it even
like
more
on
special because I didn't. There were some people who didn't know. All they knew was I came out. I wish I had the. Do I have it? Oh no, I don't. Damn. I was hope because I have the sash that I wore. It says I am 24 plus. So that's the only way that people knew. So I
yeah.
come out with it, and and some of my friends who wrestled said happy birthday and shouted me out, and I didn't know how it was gonna work because like I literally just became a babyface like a month or two ago, and for them to just have that, it just was
Yeah.
one of the craziest, most amazing moments I could ever think to
Oh,
happen.
oh, totally. All right. Next one. Mentioned some of my hobbies. We kind of talked a little bit about stuff outside of wrestling. Hobbies that you have outside of wrestling, because like we said, you know, wrestling and keeping it in ring shape can take up a lot of time. So there might not be as much time for hobbies as others when you're not dealing with an injury or something.
Oh yeah, and with this injury, thankfully, I've been able to catch up on some stuff. Because with wrestling, it is hard, especially when you're wrestling almost every weekend, and when you're going to the shows like early as the clock to go try to train like I do,
Yeah.
you want to do what you can, but like sometimes you miss pay-per-views and you have to watch them the day before, or I mean, or the day during that, or you have to
After.
watch it during the drive to the
Yeah.
show. Uh, or you have a new episode of a favorite show or a new game just came out and you only get like a few hours to play it. Like I remember the struggle of wanting to play Spider-Man 2 for the PS5 and having to like try to work and then do shows and trying to beat that all at once. All my buddies are beating all these games. Meanwhile, they're like, "You're only halfway on one of these." I'm like, "Well, I wrestle and I go work unlike your asses. Like, I get my time on the game." Like they even said it about Elden Ring. They already beat it. 100% like beat all the bosses and everything, and like you're only halfway through and you haven't even beaten the game yet. I'm like, I have a life. uh
Oh yeah. Oh
with
yeah. I
that I
definitely.
tried to do that, and especially during outside of wrestling I also try to do concerts because I love going to concerts. uh I've loved going to them since I was a kid when my mom would take me. She's taken me to go see like guys, people like Seether, Bush, My Darkest Days. I've got to see the Pretty Reckless. She took me to see Nickelback, who's my favorite band of all. Sorry to any metal fans, but they're gonna hear a lot more. They're gonna hear a lot more. They're gonna hear a lot more names. They're gonna be like, "Oh shit, he likes this guy. Cool." Uh, I've been to Louder in Life twice, like I mentioned. I've seen Slipknot, Avenged Sevenfold, Slayer, Disturbed, Skillet. I've seen Ghost. I've seen Avatar. I've seen Gojira. I've seen Sick Puppies, Skillet, Cheap Trick. I've seen Metallica. I've seen Panic at the Disco. I've seen Madonna. Weirdly enough. Uh, I've seen Bradley Gilbert. I've seen Shinedown, Papa Roach. I've seen Snoop Dogg with Khalifa. Uh, hell, this year, in a couple weeks, I'm going to see Hailstorm, Hollywood Undead, and I Prevail in concert.
Nice.
September 1st, I'm going to see Falling in Reverse, Black Veil Brides, Tech Nine. Uh,
Nice.
September 15th, my mom got me tickets to go see Five Finger Death Punch, Marilyn Manson in concert.
Nice.
And instead of going to Louder in Life this year, which I wish I could have gone, but I couldn't get the money for it because festival tickets are like a few $100. Uh, Hopefully September 28th, 29th, I get to go see Daughtry, Stained, and Breaking Benjamin live.
Ooh, I've seen Daughtry live a couple times. Definitely a good time. I think the first time I saw them was with actually Three Doors Down at this outdoor venue right across the river from Omaha. And that was a fun time. Um,
Yeah, I've been able to see so many people. That's why I like looking for the shows that have like the good lineups. Like
yeah.
they have Creed, Three Doors Down, and Finger 11 coming down here, and sadly the tickets are really expensive. So I was like, damn, that sounds like a really good show because I've never
Oh
seen
yeah.
Three Doors Down, and I love Three Doors Down. I love Creed. And that's what this show basically did because I grew up listening to Daughtry. My mom loved watching American Idol when I was a kid. So I
Mm,
got to see Daughtry in American Idol. And so I've grown up with watching Daughtry grow as this
yeah.
superstar. And then
Totally.
Stained, I listened to as a kid. And then Breaking Benjamin, I got into the more I was a teenager, but I listened to as a kid with
Yeah.
Diary of Jane and everything. And that's ugh. Like wrestling shows, rock concerts and festivals are just the
Mm.
same thing. It's basically everybody there for the one reason to have a good
Oh yeah.
time and love the people that they are there for. Whether
Oh yeah.
it's seeing Brantley, like I went to see Brantley Gilbert and Nickelback in concert, and literally, like a lot of people were there for Brantley Gilbert, but then they stayed and they were still just as energetic for Nickelback. Like
Hey, that's awesome.
it's that's why I just love being seeing crowds or being a part of a crowd. You get to have
Oh
an
yeah.
atmosphere that's either different but still the same like you would do if you went to like go see like a good anime or a good concert or good wrestling show or going to see NASCAR or basketball, football. It's a
Yeah.
way big atmosphere in every single event.
Oh, totally. And I know, hell, my wife and I, we've been to our fair share of concerts. There was about a year straight where we went to at least one a month. And we actually, this was, I got two kind of fun concert stories. One was my wife and I, we've actually been able to go see Luke Combs in concert like 10 times. We've been in the pit a couple of those times. And the last time we went to see him live was actually at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. And like, I kid you not, like maybe maybe a week and a half before, my wife was checking her email and found out that she won us VIP meet and greet passes. So not only did we get to be in the pit for that show, we actually also got to meet him and have a beer with him before the show.
See, I would love to do that. Luke is one of those guys because like I wasn't a big country fan growing up, but the more this new country was evolved, I became more of a fan. And Luke
Yeah.
is one of the guys that like I've looked at and I was like, damn, I would love to see him in
Oh,
concert
it's
so
a good,
badly.
it is a good time. And my other one, because I literally have the memento from this, well, one behind me, but the big one hanging up on the wall just off to behind the camera here. I went to go see Dirks Bentley in concert at the same venue I saw what was it, Daughtry and Three Doors Down at. And I was like, I wanted to go see how close I could get because it was all general admissions. Like, I got there crazy early. I got maybe two people from the stage. And at one point, he's like asking where his beer drinkers were at. And I'm just like, what? And then he points at me, and I'm like, he was pointing my direction. I'm like thinking he ain't pointing at me. Looking around me, thinking he's pointing at somebody else. Well, before I know it, he's literally walking over helping the security guys get me over the barricade. And before I know it, I'm literally shotgunning a beer on stage with Dierks Bentley. And, well, I still got the can. And towards the end of the show, he's pointing back at me. I'm like, hey, yeah. But then he literally grabs a guitar from one of his bandmates that he was playing. And all of a sudden, he starts motioning right with. And I'm like, in my head, I'm seeing what's going to happen. But I'm like, no. He walks over, hands me the guitar after he signs it. I literally got it hanging on my wall back there.
See, you talk about concert momentums. This one is a good one, especially for Drinking and Most podcast. So this one I tell a lot because this is the coolest concert story I could ever have. So this is after.
Hey, let's hear it.
So this is wrestling and concert related. So this is after the Hardy Boys returned to the WWE. Of course, I was a big fan of Jeff's music in TNA. I loved his albums. I had it on Spotify. I have some of them on Spotify, but they don't play because they said, "Oh, it's not allowed." And little did I know when he got injured, and did I know when he got injured, he started doing concerts and started touring. I was living in Louisville, Kentucky at the time, and I was sitting in my buddy's car. This is after I graduated high school, and I saw that he's performing at Trixie's Entertainment Complex in Louisville, and I was like, okay, cool. That should be cool. And I saw VIP tickets for like $80. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. And I was like, that's a meet and greet with Jeff Hardy, and you get to like talk to him and everything. I was like, cool, I'm gonna do that. Little did I know that my 18-year-old ass was walking into a strip club. So that put a smile on my face. It felt like Disney World. And I was meeting one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And I wish I had the memento. It's downstairs, but I stood in line. I was like one of the first 5 in line. I got in line. I got an autograph. I taught them. I got a picture. It's even worse how embarrassed I was knowing that I went to a strip club, not knowing it's a strip club, dressed in a Hardy Boys shirt with armbands on, and I face painted. I had face paint on. So walking into a shirt, at least I got some compliments on the face paint from the girls, but I still felt embarrassed. Yeah. But the next thing I know is I forgot that I brought a kid-sized replica spinner belt that I was like, oh crap, I didn't bring it in. So I went to the security guy who was in front of the line, and I told him, I was like, hey, I have a replica belt that I really want him to sign that I forgot to bring in line. Can I like go grab it and get back in line? Dude didn't have a problem with it. So I ran outside and grabbed the title, ran back inside, got back in line, got another 15 minutes with Jeff Hardy, and he signed my replica belt, which is downstairs. Nice. And then I got to see front row for his show and see his whole show and see the people that he was performing with. Then he left, and so I sat there and I was like, screw it. I'm 18 years old. I'm at least going to go enjoy the strip club and everything. Yeah. I went to the bathroom, did what every teenager would do, wipe the X's off your hands and everything. And little did I know Jeff Hardy came back. He got some drinks, and then after he had some drinks, he bumped into me, and he recognized me after it all, and I got to have some drinks with Jeff Hardy. He paid for a lap dance for me, and we talked wrestling, and we were there until 1 a.m. in the morning, and I was a little drunk. I don't know if Shannon Moore was the person to tell him, but Jeff Hardy and I were talking outside the strip club, and 1 a.m., it's literally 1 a.m., and he's telling me these stories, and all of a sudden I hear, Jeff, come on, we got to make it to the hotel so you can get ready to go to the airport. And all I hear was, okay, give me a second. I'll be right there. And then he told me, he was like, hey, man, I got to go, and then gave me a hug before he left and told me, he was like, I hope I get to meet you again. 18-year-old me walked back to the car shaking, being a fanboy, going, oh, my God, I just had one of these coolest fucking nights and a concert with Jeff Hardy.
Oh, yeah. No, that is pretty awesome. And it actually reminded me of the No Ring Deathmatch show I went to because I didn't realize that it was in the basement of a strip club. And like literally, I'm going in thinking, oh, I go in the door, I turn right. Oh, there's a show. No, I go in, turn right, and there's butthole right in front of my face. And I'm like, I guess I'm going that way. Yeah, it was wild. But yeah, no, that awesome. All right, now on to the next one. Okay, I know my time in the Navy, like first year of it, I was down in Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, that whole area, and I got spoiled. I love sweet tea, but I got spoiled on it down there. Up here, most people seem to, if they like tea, they like the unsweetened stuff. Now, are you like a lot of people down south, that at least the ones that I know, that think unsweetened tea is basically a sin?
I mean, I don't care if other people drink it. I know if I drink regular, like I grew up in Taekwondo and I grew up in martial arts, so I've had hot tea. It's
Mm,
not bad, especially when you've had a few drinks and you especially know how to do it. Because like I learned how to drink hot tea from a freaking actual 1984 LA silver medalist in Taekwondo, and he was my grandmaster. So like he knew his shit, and like he
yeah.
trained with the best, and so like I got to learn how to drink it with that. It didn't taste as great, and that was my first introduction to unsweet tea because I always drank sweet tea when I was a kid. Uh, I mean, if it's hot, it's pretty good, but when it's cold,
Not so
I
much.
just the minute it hits me, it goes down and then it comes back up and just wants to be out. It does not want to be anywhere near the vicinity of my stomach. My throat says nope and runs and says it get out.
Yeah, oh, I can understand that. Because yeah, no, I will drink it, but yeah, if I can, I'm definitely pouring some damn sugar in that damn thing at least. All right. Well, kind of along those same lines, I would feel weird if I didn't have a question like this in here. Favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic or non, or shit, one of each if you want.
Non-alcoholic is, I mean, I could go for some blue raspberry lemonade Kool-Aid, or I would
Mm.
go for a Dr. Pepper soda wise,
Ah,
or a
yeah.
Sprite.
I'm a Dr. Pepper fiend myself.
It's either Dr. Pepper or a Sprite. I can't go wrong with either one.
Gotcha.
Alcoholic. I'm not a beer person. I like my liquor. I mean, I drink anything I put in front of me. If it's bought and it's for me, the only thing I wouldn't drink is Fireball. I used to love
Mm.
that when I was 16 drinking it, but now it is a monstrosity. Uh, Biggest things I love to drink if I go to a bar are margaritas.
Mm.
It just stays good, and
Oh,
I can drink a bunch of them before I know it's time for me to stop.
yeah, no, I definitely do enjoy a good margarita. Definitely a beer drinker, but yeah, non-alcoholic side, can't go wrong with a good lemonade, but I am a Dr. Pepper fiend. I literally, in a birthday card that somebody from the people that I work with all signed, somebody wrote in that they hoped the Dr. Pepper was flowing. I'm like, you get me.
See, that's everybody knows I either drink Sprite or Dr. Pepper, but the biggest thing I always like shout out to Bert Kreischer because he's the guy who would put Kool-Aid in a thermos and then walk around and drink it all day. I am that to a T. It is the
Mm.
funniest thing ever in the world. I'm like, you would never expect it. Everybody has a thermos. They're like, oh, what's in it? Oh, it's like cocoa or coffee or water. You never expect, hey, what's in the thermos? Kool-Aid.
Hey, Kool-Aid's good. I do enjoy different varieties of it, although I haven't had any in a while. Maybe I need to get, man, my wife probably thinks I need to drink something other than Dr. Pepper sometimes, so maybe I'll switch a little for Kool-Aid. I don't know. We'll
Well,
see.
usually with Kool-Aid, like I have a liquor cabinet and I at home, so like I usually don't go to bars because my logic is Do I want to spend $200 for one night, or do I want to spend $200 that's going to last me 6 months?
Ah, good thinking.
So when I first moved into my first apartment, I literally said, my first bit of check that I can get that has money, I'm going to take $200, go to a liquor store, buy what I can get, and then if anything, I'll buy chasers later as I go. So I bought liquor, and then I bought some chasers that were cheap, and then took it home. And then basically, if I ran out of chasers, I would get creative. So like, I would have this dragonberry rum. I'm like,
Mm,
I wonder what it's good with. So sometimes, literally, I would put some ice in a cup, put some whatever Kool-Aid I'd have, cherry, tropical punch, blue raspberry lemonade, and it's
mm.
cheap as well. All you really need is water, sugar, and the packet. And the packets are like 3 for $1 at
Oh yeah.
any kind of grocery store. So literally, you just get like 6 packets for $2, and that's 3 flavors.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So,
And
and
hell,
I would literally be like, I wonder how this tastes with this. And then I go pour Dragonberry rum with like some tropical punch Kool-Aid. I get drunk off of that. Or like,
oh yeah.
or go grab vodka or tequila and then be like, I wonder how this tastes. Or grab
Oh yeah.
Jack and be like, I wonder how this tastes with a lemonade, or how this tastes with a Dr. Pepper or a Coke. Like, I just get creative as I go. It just
Oh yeah.
depends on how I'm feeling at the time.
Oh, I get you there. Yeah, like oh god, I'm trying to think of some of my favorite ones, but I do enjoy getting like those big things of the Kool-Aid that like the twist off lids and stuff.
Oh
Man, that
yeah.
I can tear through some of that. But all right. Next up, last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Find the best place you can go. Don't take the easy way out. Look for the best place that you think that will help you the best. Whether you're down here in Georgia where there's plenty of schools. RCW in Chatsworth, they train for a little bit of a price, but every person who comes in there and trains you has been amazing. Like, I've been in there and I've learned from guys like Brandon Collins, Jason Hampton, Jess Wade, and like, I even was able to learn from Anthony Henry, one of the guys from the Workhorsemen, uh, and was able to do amazing stuff with them. You learn from, if you go to places with WWE superstars, you never know who could show up. Like Cody Rhodes always says in the Nightmare Factory, people show up out of nowhere, whether it's guys like Ricky Starks, Jade Cargill, John Cena's been there before. Like, you never
Mm-hmm.
know who could show up. Or like, go to Robert Gibson has a school down here. Or you go to, if you're up in the Northeast, Matt Tremont, Kurt Hawkins has a school that MJF is from.
Mm.
uh if you're in Kentucky, OVW. Florida has a bunch of wrestling schools. Like,
All
always
over.
find what's going to be the best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Money is not an option. If you have to, save up, and I promise it's going to be worth it in the end.
Oh, for sure. And well, I literally kind of like we had earlier some issues with battery life. Well, I'm coming up on the end of mine, so before I have to run the risk of having to go run up to my charger, where can people find you social media wise so if they don't already have their eyes on you? And when you make your return, they can go ahead and get them there.
So you can find me on Snapchat at Triforce9080. You can find me on Instagram at triforce.trinity902. On Facebook, look up Trinity Morris, and you'll see this beautiful face on picture. YouTube, type in Triforce Trinity RCW. My channel will pop up instantly. Um, Matches show up every now and then from there, but I promise it's some matches that you will find. Of course, I always share them. Just like the last couple matches I've shared was for Stranglehold Championship Wrestling's YouTube page, literally in the top 10 of their YouTube page of most viewed with 1.2 thousand views. And then
Dang, all
another
right.
on day 2 match got over 420 views, which made me kind of giggle, knowing that 420 was a view for me.
Yeah, 420.
uh, and especially when I return, I'm wanting to go and travel and hope that I can impress some people out of state. So
Hey.
whether it's Arkansas, Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, Virginia, New York, I don't care. If you're a booker, get your eyes on me, and maybe let's talk.
All right. Yeah. Well, that is about all I have. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. Best of luck out there on your road to recovery from your injury. And I look forward to seeing you getting back out there as soon as possible.
I appreciate it, and I can't wait to be back. It's going to be one hell of a ride when I do.